the way you win this game is you are the first to have 10 victory points. And there is a victory point track that we put out on the game, and everybody would put one of their flags on the 0 at the beginning, and then as you do things that earn victory points, you move your way around. So whoever at the end of the game has the most victory points will win, or the first one to reach 10. As soon as someone has 10, the game is over. So that is how the game is won. Alright, so since we get to pick the first card, what we're probably going to do right away is pick the Imperial strategy card, because that will give us for sure 2 victory points. So we're going to take that card and put it down here in our play area in front of us. That's our strategy. The other players then, in clockwise order, would pick a strategy card, and then we would proceed on to the next phase of the game. Okay, let's talk about the objective cards. Again, to win this game, you have to earn victory points. And the main way that we earn victory points is by fulfilling objectives. At the beginning of the game, before we even set up the game board, each player is dealt a secret objective card from this deck, and they keep that secret from any. They look at themselves, but they don't show anybody else. And so this is an objective that they have. So there's different types of objectives. Like this one says, I control at least 6 planets with a technology specialty. Or I control Mexicano Rex, I have 1 space dock here, I have at least 2 technology advances in each of the 3 different colors. So, and you notice that they're all worth 2 victory points. So whenever you have completed your secret objective, you can then reveal it and claim the 2 victory points. Also, we have public objective cards. And when we set up the game, we shuffle these up, and there are 6 of these stage 1 cards that get put into our objective deck, and these are all worth 1 victory point, just different various ways, and anybody can claim these public objectives and earn the victory points from those. So we'll have 6 of these in the game, and then underneath those we will have 4 of these public objective card stage 2s. Now, one of these cards is called Imperium Rex. So when this card comes up, this will be one of the 4 cards. If this one comes up, then the game is immediately over, and whoever has the most victory points wins the game. So the minimum number of rounds in a game would be 7. We'd have 6 rounds for the public objectives, because one of those tends to come out every round. And then there could be as many as 10 rounds in the game. But then you have other objectives that are worth 2. There's a couple that if you do this, as soon as someone does it, they win the game. This one's worth 3 victory points. So these are worth more victory points, and some of them are automatic wins. So those objective cards will be coming out throughout the course of the game. And again, a lot of your gameplay will be around completing these objectives, because that's how you do win the game. Okay, next let's talk about command counters. The command counters look like this. Each race has their own symbol. On one side you have a picture of a ship, on the other side you have the symbol for your race. And the command counters are kind of at the heart of the game, and how we use these to move on the board and to take actions. So once we have our initial setup done, then the next thing to do is to put our initial command counters onto our race card here. You can see we have a strategic allocation place, a place for fleet supply, and a place that's called our command pool. Strategic allocation is where we can take command counters from and use it to execute the secondary abilities of the different strategy cards. The fleet supply is where we put counters, and that tells how many ships we can have in any one system. And then the command pool is where we put counters that we can use to do things like move ships on the board, attack other players, produce new units at our space docks, things like that. So at the beginning of the game here, we start with 2 command counters in the strategy allocation area. We get 3 command counters in our fleet supply, and we turn them over to the ship side so that we don't get them mixed up. We know that's our fleet. And then we get 3 command counters in our command pool. So this is the beginning setup on our card for our command counters. And again, we'll be using these command counters throughout the game to take different actions on our turn. Alright, now we're all set up and ready to actually start playing the game. And the game is divided up into rounds. And each round has different phases in it. The first phase is the strategy phase. And in the strategy phase, that's where we picked our strategy cards that we talked about earlier. Now, each of these strategy cards has a number on it. And the number on these cards actually ends up being your turn order. So once we pick our cards, then we look to see who has the lowest card number. Now, most likely somebody will have picked the initiative card, which is number 1. And so when that happens, they would take the speaker token here, and they would get that. So the Nalu Collective over here, they have chosen the initiative strategy card as their strategy. And this one allows them to take the speaker card and also go first. We took the Imperial card, which has an 8 on it. And this is the last card. This is going to give us 2 for sure victory points sometime during this round. But we will go very last in turn order this time around. And then the Lizix Mindnet, they took the 7 card for technology, so they will go second in this case. And like I said before, right now we set up for 6 players, but I'm just going to show you using our direct neighbors for a few examples of play. Alright, after the strategy phase, we have the action phase. And the action phase is the heart of Twilight Imperium. It's during this phase that we can execute the special abilities of the strategy cards, we can produce new units at the space docks, we can conquer new planets, move fleets into battle. The action phase is resolved over a number of player turns, where each player gets to take one single action, and then after they take their one action, the next player takes an action, and so forth and so on. Then it comes back to us, and we can take another action. And we keep going around taking actions until everybody passes, where they've done all the actions that they can or want to do for this action phase. In the action phase, there's several different kinds of actions you can take. One would be a strategic action. A strategic action is when you execute the primary ability on your strategy card. So that would be a strategic action. And then there's also a tactical action. A tactical action involves moving fleets, entering into battles, producing units at your space docks, things like that. You can also do a transfer action, which is just moving ships back and forth between 2 different systems. And that one actually isn't used quite as much as the others. And the last option we have would be to pass. And once you've passed, then you can't take any more tactical transfer actions. You can still execute the secondary abilities of strategic actions, so we'll demonstrate that in a little bit here.